It is March the 5th and I am still in Death Valley National Park. The first stop today leads me to Harmony Borax Works. It operated here from 1883 to 1888 and it was the most profitable of all the mineral mining done in Death Valley. It was the white gold, they called it. San Francisco businessman William T. Coleman built this plant in 1882 to refine the cotton ball borax found on the nearby salt flats. The high cost of transportation made it necessary to refine the borax here rather than carry both borax and waste to the railroad, 165 miles across the desert. This is how the works appeared about 1900, 12 years after the operation ceased. Borates are salt minerals. They were deposited in ancient lake beds that uplifted and eroded into the Yellow Furnace Creek Badlands. Water dissolved the borates and carried them to the Death Valley floor, where they recrystallized as borax. Borax was used by blacksmiths and potters, dairy farmers, housewives, meat packers, and even morticians. For centuries, humans have exploited borax for many important uses. Chinese laborers recruited from San Francisco scraped the borax off the salt flats and carried it by wagon to the refinery. They received $1.30 per day, less lodging and the cost of food they bought at the company's store. So I doubt they got very far ahead in life. Workers refined borax by separating the mineral from unwanted mud and salts, a simple but time-consuming process. The workers heated water in the boiling tanks using an adjacent steam boiler. Winching ore carts up the incline, they dumped the ore into the boiling tanks. Workers added carbonated soda. The borax dissolved and the lime and mud settled out. They drew off the borax liquid into the cooling vats where it crystallized on hanging metal rods. Lifting the rods out, they chipped off the now refined crystallized borax. To produce concentrated borax, they repeated the process. Borax will not crystallize at temperatures above 120 degrees, so Harmony Borax Works stopped operating during summer. To keep the crystallizing vats cool the rest of the year, workers wrapped them with water-soaked felt padding. For more than a century, the 20-mule team has been the symbol of the borax industry. On product labels, in history books, and on television. The status is well earned. Mule teams help solve the most difficult task that faced Death Valley borax operators, getting the product to market. The mule teams pulled loads weighing up to 36 tons, including 1,200 gallons of drinking water. The rear wagon wheels were 7 feet high and the entire unit with mules was more than 100 feet long. Crude shelters and tents once dotted the flat. Chinese workers slept and ate there. The employees lived at what is now Furnace Creek Ranch. The financial problems of owner William T. Coleman and borax discoveries in other parts of California forced the Harmony operation to close in 1888 after 5 years of operation. I'm now on the Salt Creek Trail. It's a half-a-mile loop trail. Most people imagine Death Valley to be an arid wasteland devoid of water and life. Few expect to find a stream flowing on the valley floor more than 200 feet below sea level. Like all desert oases, plants and animals congregate around its life-giving waters. Even more surprising, the rare Salt Creek pupfish has thrived in its seasonally fluctuating waters for thousands of years despite all odds. Originating from brackish springs and marshes more than a mile upstream from here, the water becomes increasingly salty due to evaporation as it flows downstream. The section of creek that flows beside the boardwalk during winter and spring can be more saline than seawater. At peak flow, the stream meanders out onto vast salt flats of Cotton Ball Basin before finally sinking into the valley fill and evaporating into the desert air. Although Salt Creek is too salty for humans to drink, it is a source of life for many plants and animals. The guy who named them pupfish is Carl Hubbs. He is the father of Western ichthyology. I like to call these specimens pupfish because they play like puppies. Aw, that's cute. They look like they're playing, but it's actually very serious business. They have a lifespan of 1 year or less, so they are in a hurry to feed and breed. During mating season, colorful adult males vigorously defend spawning territory against rivals. Occasionally, a slender brownish female enters a male's domain, and they begin a brief, quivering side-by-side dance that results in fertilized eggs. Meanwhile, other fish are busy feeding on algae and organic debris by either simply grazing along the bottom or plowing it up with a frisky wiggle like a puppy digging up a bone. Weed stores absorb salt within special cells in their succulent stems. When too much salt builds up in a stem segment, the plant replaces it with fresh growth. Saltgrass excretes the excess salts to their leaf surfaces, where the glittering crystals then help reflect the intense sunlight. Most wildlife either travels to freshwater sources or gets fluids from the flesh of their prey. Juicy insects are eaten by killdeer, which are in turn eaten by coyotes or even sidewinders. While freshwater fish can absorb water through their skin, Salt Creek pupfish must actually drink or become dehydrated. They are one of the toughest of all fish, able to survive salinity several times that of seawater and temperatures from near freezing to more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. You have to be tough to survive in Death Valley. You can hear the fish swimming. It's pretty cool. I've walked quite a ways past the boardwalk, and it's getting pretty warm out now, so I think I'll turn back, but I'm sure glad I went beyond the boardwalk. It is so special. You're all alone out here in the wilderness. Makes you think, makes you ponder about the Israelites being alone in the wilderness. But God provided for them. He gave them water and food. That's a true miracle. I can smell the salt in the air. It's amazing. It's like you're by the ocean, but you're in the middle of the desert. Very cool. Very cool to see water in the middle of the desert. I thoroughly enjoyed this Salt Creek Trail. The Death Valley is very proud of their pupfish, and rightly so. That was neat to see that. This is called Devil's Cornfield. Seeking to capitalize on the mystique of Death Valley, early promoters attached dubious names like Devil's Cornfield to its strange and unusual features. Thought to resemble bundled corn left to dry in rows at harvest time, the root system of the arrowweed binds the soil around each plant. The mesquite trees at the base of the sand dunes in the distance have made similar adaptations, hoarding the soil to support their growth. Arrowweed does well in soils that are only slightly salty and is an indicator of a shallow water table. As the name suggests, Native Americans used the rigid stems of the arrowweed as arrow shafts. I'm at the Mesquite sand dunes. I'm here just because I can say I've been here. Otherwise, sand dunes aren't really my thing. I like sand at the beach, but yeah. There's more exciting things to explore, but at least I've been here. I'm now on the Mosaic Canyon Trail. It's 1.7 to the end apparently, and there's a big boulder so you can't possibly go any more. So we'll see what it's like. I'm doing it right at noon, which is probably stupid. So we'll see how far I get. It is very warm out. Oh yeah, this is so cool. Mosaic Canyon is a geological art gallery. Irregularly shaped fragments of tan-colored noonday dolomite, sandy matrix, and limey cement create complex murals on the canyon walls. In other places, dolomite transformed into marble by heat and pressure forms colorful swirls in stream-polished whirlpools and chutes in the bedrock. The geologic history of Mosaic Canyon is a succession of fill and scour cycles. Major flash floods fill the canyon with up to 20 feet or more of gravel every couple of decades, often blocking easy passage with large boulders. I came across a huge group of students, high school students, that were in a big circle, and they were making sounds with rocks. I wasn't allowed to film them, but I am allowed to share the sound that they made, so that was pretty cool to come across that. Where I stop, it's good enough for me. It took me almost 45 minutes to get to the big boulder, and I did stop a bit along the way, so that's not bad. It is definitely a steady climb the whole way. It's not flat, but it was great. I don't know if I made it to the end or not, but it's my end. I'm taking the more adventurous way back. Don't watch, Mom. Well, the healing hiker rating of this Mosaic Canyon Trail is definitely a 5 out of 5. That was very spectacular, and going down was much easier than going up. Yeah, this is all new for me, so I'm really enjoying this kind of hiking. Built in 1877, these kilns produced charcoal for the Modoc Mine smelter about 20 miles to the west. Workers filled the stone kilns with pinyon pine logs, relatively abundant in this area, and fired them. The burning, which reduced the wood to charcoal, took 6 to 8 days. Cooling took another 5 days. Wagons then hauled the charcoal to the furnace smelter, where it was burned to extract silver and lead for the Modoc Consolidated Mining Company, owned by George Hearst, father of newspaperman William Randolph Hearst. The kilns closed after only 3 years, but they still smell of creosote inside. Because of their brief life and remote location, these may be the best preserved examples of charcoal kilns in the West. The acoustics in here are amazing! Speaking of which, I got inspired. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. trust me, I wouldn't be doing this if there was anybody around. These kilns are at snow level. It's so nice and refreshing, actually. That is cool. Wild donkeys. Aren't you a cute thing? Even more wild donkeys. Hello, wild donkeys. You got a floppy ear. What happened to your ear? Eh? Oh dear. Mr. Floppy Ear. They each look so different. Don't mind me, donkeys. Aww. Are you gonna go meet up with your pals? They're up the road a ways. It's been another great day in Death Valley. I've done lots of driving today, but the sights I've seen have been so worthwhile. And driving all the way to the Kilns this evening and then seeing those donkeys, that was extra bonus. I'm staying at Wild Rose Campground tonight. I have a beautiful spot, as you can see, and it's free. So all that driving, you get free lodging, that makes up for it. Thank you so much for watching. There's going to be lots more adventures. I will see you in my next video. And remember God's amazing grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The Lord has promised good to me. His word, my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior off like snow. The sun forbear to shine, but God who called me here below will be forever mine, will be forever mine. You are forever